There is a version of you that already exists somewhere down the road,
lying in a bed. Maybe a hospital bed. Maybe just your own.
And in that moment, the fear is never really about the pain itself. It is about what the pain seems to prove, that you are not in charge anymore.
That your body has taken the wheel and your mind is just a passenger now, along for whatever ride it gets.
Marcus Aurelius knew that fear personally, not as a thought experiment.
He was sick.
Often, for most of his adult life. Chest pains, stomach trouble, something historians still argue about almost 2,000 years later. He ruled an empire during a plague so brutal it may have killed him in the end. And somewhere in a candlelit tent, tired and hurting, he wrote himself 3 techniques. Not for curing the body. He never promised that. For keeping the mind free while the body suffered, which, if you think about it, is the harder trick. We are going to walk through those 3 techniques today, straight from his private notebook, the one we now call Meditations. He never meant for us to read it, which is maybe exactly why it still lands. Here is the problem, plainly. Most of us treat physical pain as a verdict on the self. Sick equals broken. Hurting equals losing. We say things like, I can't function, and we mean it as a whole person statement, not a body statement. The stomach cramps, and suddenly the whole day, the whole identity feels canceled.
And nobody really warns you how much of that suffering is doubled. There's the actual sensation, real, physical, sometimes brutal.
And then there's a second layer stacked right on top of it. The story you tell about the sensation. This is unbearable. This will never end. This means something is deeply wrong with me as a person. 2,000 years before modern pain psychology figured out that catastrophizing makes pain worse. Marcus was already circling the same idea in the dark, by lamplight,
alone with his own aching chest.
So, technique 1, pain has a border. Marcus wrote it almost like a note to himself, something to reread on the bad nights.
In every pain, let this thought be present, that there is no dishonor in it, nor does it make the governing intelligence worse.
For it does not damage the intelligence, either so far as the intelligence is rational, or so far as it is social. Indeed, in most cases, let this remark of Epicurus aid thee, that pain is neither intolerable nor everlasting, if thou bearest in mind that it has its limits, and if thou addest nothing to it in imagination. Notice who he's quoting there. Epicurus, a rival school entirely. The philosopher of pleasure, someone a proud Stoic really had no obligation to agree with. And Marcus quotes him anyway because the point was too useful to skip over out of pride. Pain, Epicurus argued, is either sharp or long. Never both at once, not really.
The agony that feels unbearable tends to be brief. The pain that lingers for months tends to have dulled into something you can carry. It has edges. It has a shape.
It ends, or it fades, one of the two. And that phrase, if thou addest nothing to it in imagination, might be the whole technique in 6 words. The sensation is what it is.
The dread about tomorrow's sensation.
The fear it will never lift. The story that you are now a permanently broken person. None of that is the pain. That's you. Adding to it. Which means At least in part, it's something you can stop adding. Technique 2 is stranger. And honestly, it took me a while to actually feel what he meant by it, rather than just understand it as words. Marcus imagined illness, any illness, any misfortune, really, the way you'd imagine a doctor's prescription. Just as we must understand when it is said that Aesculapius prescribed to this man horse exercise or bathing in cold water or going without shoes. So we must understand it when it is said that the nature of the universe prescribed to this man disease or mutilation or loss or anything else of the kind. Aesculapius was the god of medicine, and ancient doctors did prescribe strange things. Cold baths, walking barefoot, riding a horse for your health. Nobody complained that the prescription was rude or unfair or a personal attack. You just did it, trusting there was a reason, even if you didn't fully grasp it. Marcus is asking you to hold your illness the same way, not as a punishment aimed at you specifically, just as something the wider order of things has handed you. The way nature hands out storms and droughts and floods to no one in particular. It's not a comfortable idea, I'll be honest. It can feel almost too passive, like giving up the right to be angry. But there's something underneath it worth sitting with. The energy you spend demanding why me is energy the sick, tired body of yours does not actually have to spare. And technique 3, this one is the image that actually stuck with me the longest. Marcus reaches for a strange little metaphor here, borrowed from an older philosopher named Empedocles. He describes the properly ordered mind as a sphere. The properties of the mind, no one else is wont to hinder, for neither fire nor steel nor despot nor abuse affected one whit, when it has become a sphere rounded and at rest. A sphere is the one shape that has no sharp edge for anything to grab onto. Push it, and it just rolls or sits there unchanged in its essential roundness. Fire can't cut it. A blade can't reshape it. Not even a tyrant with total power over your body can touch what makes it a sphere in the first place. Read that list again. Slowly. Fire, steel, a despot, cruelty. Marcus is naming the worst things a human body can be subjected to. Burned, cut, imprisoned, tortured, and saying, even then, the mind's essential shape, its capacity to judge and reason and choose how to respond, remains untouched. Not because the body doesn't suffer. It absolutely can. But because the thing doing the judging and the thing doing the suffering are not, in the end, the exact same thing. So 3 techniques, and I think they build on each other more than they first appear to. First, pain has a border. It is sharp and brief or long and dull, never the unbearable forever thing your fear tells you it is. So long as you don't add imagined suffering on top of the real kind. Second, treat illness like a prescription from a doctor you don't fully understand yet, rather than an insult aimed at you personally. It costs you less than the alternative. And third, hold on to the sphere. Whatever fire or steel or misfortune touches your body, there is a rounder, calmer part of you underneath that judgment can still protect if you let it. None of this promises the pain goes away. I want to be honest about that, because I think Marcus would want the same thing. He never once wrote that stoicism cures disease. What he's offering is smaller and I'd argue more honest.
Even flat on your back, even mid-illness, even afraid. The part of you that decides what any of this means is still yours.
Nobody, not even an emperor with legions at his back, can requisition that part without your permission. The body will do what bodies do. It gets sick. It ages. It hurts, sometimes for reasons no doctor can fully explain. And honestly, some days that feels almost cruelly unfair. But somewhere underneath all of it, according to a man who spent half his life in pain and still managed to run an empire, there's a sphere that fire cannot touch and steel cannot cut.
Whether you believe that fully or just want to believe it, I think it's worth testing the next time something in your body decides to remind you it's there.
If this helped you see illness or pain a little differently, subscribe to Stoic Mind. Drop a like and let me know in the comments which of these 3 techniques you needed today. There's more of Marcus's private notebook still ahead of us. Ideas he never expected anyone else to read. Until next time, stay steadfast.